In the quiet corridors of the mind, there are doors we never open. Not because they are locked, but because we have forgotten where they lead. They stand in silence, holding the echoes of footsteps we no longer remember taking, breathing with the dust of moments we have carefully stored away. My journey began with a key, cold and heavy in my hand, a key that fit no lock I knew. Yet, it hummed with a purpose, a quiet insistence, pulling me down a long, dim hallway where shadows whispered secrets I almost understood. This is not a story of a house, but of a home within. A home with 13 rooms and 12 I knew by heart. The first room smelled of rain on summer asphalt. Inside, a swing set creaked in an endless loop, carrying the ghost of a child's laughter. My laughter. A mirror on the wall showed not my reflection, but a small girl with scraped knees and eyes full of wonder, chasing fireflies in a jar. This was the room of beginnings, where innocence was a language I still spoke fluently. Next, the room of first love. Handwritten letters took flight from a dusty desk, their ink-stained words transforming into a flock of paper birds that circled the ceiling. They carried promises whispered under a teenage moon, fragile and beautiful. I watched them soar, a bittersweet ache in my chest for the boy who wrote them and the girl who believed every word. The third room was filled with clocks, grandfather clocks, wall clocks, tiny pocket watches all melting like Dolly's dreams. Their hands dripped onto the floor, pooling into a silver sea of lost time. Each tick and tock was a regret, a what if, a moment I wished I could rewind. The air was thick with the weight of seconds squandered, opportunities missed, goodbyes left unsaid. This was the room of time's relentless march. Room for was a library where every book was blank. The scent of aging paper and leather was a comfort, but the empty pages screamed of ambitions unfulfilled, stories untold. A single quill pen lay on a table, its nib dry. This was the chamber of potential, a quiet testament to the person I had always planned to be, but never quite became. I wandered through rooms of loneliness where a single teacup sat on a table set for two. Rooms of hope where a single resilient flower grew through a crack in the concrete floor. Rooms of anger where shattered glass repaired itself only to break again. Each space was a fragment of my soul, a piece of the puzzle I had been assembling my entire life. I walked through joy and sorrow, love and loss, each memory a stepping stone. Through rooms 6, 7, 8, each one a new facet. A room filled with masks, each one worn for a different audience, hiding the true face beneath. A room where the floor was a map of all the places I'd been and all the roads I hadn't taken. A room where music played from a phonograph, a song without a name that made my heart ache with a nameless nostalgia. I saw the vibrant hues of friendship, the muted grays of betrayal, the stark white of fear. 12 rooms, 12 chapters of a life lived and unlived. They were familiar, comfortable in their pain and their beauty, but there was one door that remained. It stood at the very end of the corridor, unassuming yet heavy with significance. The door to room 13, it had no handle, no peephole, only a single ancient lock. My whole life, I had avoided it. I told myself it held a monster, a terrible secret, a truth so dark it would shatter me. My hand trembled as I raised the key, the one that had been humming in my pocket all this time. Fear was a cold hand on my neck. The whispers from the shadows grew louder, weaving tales of horror and despair, begging me to turn back. For a moment, I almost did. But the pull was stronger than the fear. The key slid into the lock. It turned with a soft, final click that echoed not in the hallway, but deep within my chest. The door swung inward on its own, not with a creak, but with a sigh. I braced myself for darkness, for the monster I was so sure resided within. But room 13 was not dark. It was bathed in a warm, golden light. There were no monsters, no skeletons, no terrifying truths. There was only a mirror, a simple, full-length mirror standing in the center of the empty room. Cautiously, I stepped inside. The air was warm, smelling of sunlight and forgiveness. I walked toward the mirror, my heart pounding. I expected to see a monster, a distorted version of myself, the embodiment of all my flaws and failures. But the reflection that looked back was just me. Not the child from the first room, nor the ghost from the others. It was me, now. With lines of laughter and whirring around my eyes, with hands that had held and let go, with a heart that had been broken and had healed, stronger in the broken places. And as I looked, truly looked, for the first time, I saw not a collection of regrets and mistakes, but a survivor, a person who had navigated the labyrinth of her own soul and had finally arrived. The whispers in the corridor faded, replaced by a profound silence, a peace that settled over me like a warm blanket. The monster was never in the room. The monster was the fear of opening the door. The truth I had hidden from myself was not a horror, but a simple, profound acceptance. I reached out and touched the cool surface of the glass. My reflection did the same. In that moment, the two became one. The hidden self and the known self finally integrated. The light grew brighter, warmer, filling every corner of my being. Perhaps the lock was never on the door, but on the heart.